What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hot Pot. As you find your way in, please like and subscribe. Also recommend and share with your friends. This is actually an episode from Jubilee, or a clip from Jubilee that I wanted to react to for a minute now. But I had to take some time off, but I'm finally back. Without further ado, let's go right into this video and react to this video clip from Jubilee featuring Patrick Bet-David. And it's one capitalist versus 20 anti-capitalists.
I'm Patrick Bet-David. I'm an entrepreneur and founder of PBD podcast. Today, I'm surrounded by 20 anti-capitalists.
So fair use, guys, fair use. So yeah, I just really want to bring this point in. And coming from a breaking mindset, I don't think a lot of breakers have this mindset on like, you know, how we should conduct ourselves like in a business oriented world. So trying to just understand the two arguments, like from Patrick Bet-David, a very successful entrepreneur, versus like 20, you know, just other regular people. So I just thought that this had a lot of golden nuggets that I could probably share with you guys and we could probably react to. So yeah, let's go.
My first claim is incentive is the engine of capitalism. Remove it and the system fails.
And I talked about this with my friend. I'm sorry, but I talked about this with my friend, and that's a pretty bulletproof claim because, I mean, who's willing to do things without incentives, right? Like, I'm not going to go to work, or I'm not going to build the highway, or I'm not going to be an electrician not knowing that I'm going to get paid. I don't just do it from the kindness of my heart. I'm not going to work on roofs. People who work on roofs, y'all say something.
Hey, great to meet you, Patrick.
What's your name?
My name's Mason.
Mason, good to meet you.
Yeah. I'm value-tained. I'm a big fan of the channel.
Are you really?
Yeah, I do watch it quite regularly.
Very cool.
I do not agree with your claim. I don't think that incentives are only born out of capitalism.
Okay.
Most capitalist defenders say that incentive is because of scarcity, and people's ability to get what is necessary pushes them to work harder. I disagree with that. I'd say that some of our hardest workers are single moms working 3 to 4 jobs, and the resources that they're able to acquire compared to those that utilize their workers in order to build profit for their own companies is not equivocal.
So how would you do it? How would you change it?
Yeah, so I think that humans inherently want to be meaningful. They want to contribute to their communities. They want to contribute to society. When you look at depression rates, oftentimes it's people who aren't able to do anything besides laying in their bed and basically barely taking care of themselves. So I think that it's just a human intrinsic value to want to bring value to their community or grander society. Okay, so I don't think that it has to be through scarcity alone that scares people into working, if that makes sense.
Human inherently want to contribute. Humans, so in a way for me, the way that I interpret that is that people inherently would want to go be an electrician, want to be a home builder, want to do construction inherently, you know, like, no, with no incentives, no, I want to get paid. I'll do those things if I get paid or if I know it takes care of my family and it leads to, you know, better life and better opportunities and, you know, like just some of those things, but just inherently, it's like a very blanket statement.
I worked for scarcity. I think there's levels to it. You have the survival folks who work for survival to pay their bills. Yep. Some work for status, some work for freedom, and some work for legacy. The folks that work 3 or 5 jobs, you know, to pay their bills and do what they're doing, if the incentive wasn't there, they wouldn't work 3 to 5 jobs. Some of the guys that build a bigger business that solve a lot of problems.
The incentive there is either I die or I work. That's not really a system that rewards.
Well, that's real life. The thing is, real life requires you to, you know, it's either you live on the street or you take care of yourself, live in an apartment and stay cozy.
It's merit. That's a system that pushes people into insecure positions.
Not necessarily. In many cases, we put ourselves in situations as well. But when we're talking incentive...
Are you saying that it's an individual failure for these single mothers that are working 3 to 4 jobs?
I can't believe this guy is deciding to die on this hill. You can't say being a single mom is not, you know, like none of the blame or fault rests on that person's own decision making. Like, you know who you sleep with, you don't have to sleep with anyone. You know, and if you choose to get married before you give birth and all this other stuff, there's a whole bunch of things. But I think we as people like to delegate responsibility to someone else. We're not really accountable for like a lot of the decisions and stuff that we make that aren't good for us. So a lot of these things are self-inflicted wounds. Like, sorry.
For some of them, it is.
Interesting.
For some of them, it is.
I'm glad you bite that bullet, because most people are not going to say that it's a moral failure of people that are born into poverty that continue to live out cyclical poverty. For somebody like me,
I won't say it's just everyone, but I'm just saying a lot of the decisions that we see today is like more self-inflicted. Like people who are deciding to say, hey, I'm gonna go party, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go, go smoke and do all this other stuff, versus those people who are like, look, I'm gonna keep my head low, I'm gonna work, I'm gonna grind, I'm gonna just, I'm gonna train. And this, this goes into breaking. Sometimes you see some of these people who excel much further in the competition. I think a lot of people like to blame shift, and the positions that we find ourselves in life today, a lot of it is related to self-inflicted wounds. But yes, some of it's environmental. There's a lot of other things like that. But that's the way that I see it, in my opinion.
I came from the single mother system. My mother was a single mother. We had, my parents got a divorce twice. They married each other. They divorced. They remarried each other, divorced again. I came up, we didn't have a lot of choices. I joined the Army. I got at that system, kind of wanted to see what I was going to do for myself. Do I stay in the Army? Do I get out of the Army? I started working in sales. And then the incentive of working harder, eventually I built a good life for myself.
Again, you're totally dismissing the hard work that a lot of these people are putting into for just basic survival. I'd say that mechanics and plumbers and most people working blue collar jobs that are probably watching this video are working tirelessly day after day.
I don't disagree.
They still feel insecure positions to where they don't even know if they're going to be able to afford rent in the next 6 months.
So let me ask you,
if most Americans have a $400 to $500 emergency, they can't even afford that with the basic savings that they have. So this is not something that we should celebrate as promises of a system that gives you more if you work harder. We should say that this is something that rewards few, and I'm glad that you're an outlier that's been able to build a lot of success for yourself. I know that you're a multimillionaire. That's fantastic that you have those resources.
When you explain
but the thing is that cannot happen for everybody.
Hey, let him talk. Why are you like this man is like he wants to hold the ground so much so that he could just say so much, but he's not saying anything that's conducive to the conversation.
Each individual to do it, but not everybody can be a millionaire.
So
that's guaranteed.
I don't think not everybody can be a billionaire or a millionaire, but I do think people can find ways to use their time to effectively increase their market value. And I don't think many people do that. When I talk to people and they tell me, I've watched this show, I've watched every one of these shows, I've watched every one of these Netflix shows, you can use that time to increase your market value instead of kind of, focus on what's going on with the stories and shows that are out there.
Let's move away from Netflix.
So that's actually a really good point. A lot of us waste a lot of our time doing other things, trying to follow what other people are doing in life versus actually bringing value to ourselves, working on ourselves, whether that be, investing in the right particular things. And when I say investing, I mean going to school and studying the subjects that are in demand, or like even going to trade school, doing the things that are in demand, those kind of things. If you have this outward look into some of these things that you understand that the market needs and are real life skills, then those things will always have demand and will require someone to do it. And someone's always going to be willing to pay like big bucks for someone who's in those types of positions.
And TV shows and talk specifically about, do you think that capitalism is a system of merit that rewards people that have higher merit?
I do.
Okay, so how would you say that this is a meritocracy when we have some people that are born into excessive wealth and some people that are working minimum wage jobs to provide for 3 or 4 kids? How would you say that that's a meritocratic society?
Those are two different things.
They are two different things, very unequal things.
And let them talk.
Not necessarily. The parents get credit for making responsible decisions so they can take care of their kids. The parents get credit.
It's not a meritocracy, though. We're building dynasties of wealth.
Not necessarily. I didn't come from dynasties of wealth.
I know,
came from
you're an outlier. I get that. I get that individual. We're talking about systems. Capitalism is a system. It's not an individual testimony.
But it's a system that you get to use in your advantage. It's a system that's produced the best results than any other economical system. There's not an economical system that's produced better results than this based on the incentive.
History is a march of progress, right? So there are going to be advancements that we make, or there's going to be solutions that we make to previous ailments. I'm not saying that capitalism hasn't brought in better things than systems like feudalism or monarchy, but that does not mean that we're at the end of history. Do you think that capitalism is the final solution, and this is what we're going to last
I think capitalism
as we go
is the best
future?
economical system because it gives an incentive for you to decide how big of a life you want to build. And by the way, the best way to judge it, let me just say this to you. The best way to judge it is in a very simple way. Take all the countries around the world. There's many different economical systems. What has the longest line of people wanting to get in there? It's America. Why is that? 15 million people came here illegally. Millions came here illegally just the last 4 years.
A lot of that is because of economic scarcity in other countries. Well, one of them, we could talk about one, is American exceptionalism.
This guy wants to talk so bad, man. And I hate when people who are less experienced or less knowledgeable about a lot of these things try and up the other person who is more successful, who has more knowledge, or like you probably can gain something out of what they got to say. I'm sorry, some people might disagree with me, but typically whenever I go into a room and I know that there's someone smarter, better, richer, or they have some particular type of information or level of success that I admire and I would like to one day acquire as well, I try and listen to them as much as possible and try and take away as much as I can. But this guy likes to overstep, and a lot of people do that too. Who's next? I ain't gonna break the chair.
What's your name?
Hi, I'm Alana. It's nice to meet you. Okay, so I think the issue is the framing of incentive here. Incentive doesn't disappear in a socialist or a communist society. It just changes and evolves. So we see in capitalism, the incentive is obviously monetary gain, maybe even collecting capital itself. Through land ownership. In a communist or a socialist country, you would see incentive would just evolve into, I know it's a vague term, but the common good. You have an incentive to do your chores around your house because you don't want to live in a filthy house.
Man, I don't know what you trying to look like.
It doesn't have to be just monetary.
So
man, try to look like Jesus. Hey, shout out for y'all being on this platform, man. Just shout out.
House. Right, that makes sense. It doesn't have to be just monetary.
So you don't think monetary incentive drives people, or you're saying that people should be excited to do their job, whether they're getting incentivized for it or not? That's what you're saying.
People will be incentivized to do.
Give me a case study. Give me.
No. She is dead wrong. Time out. No. This doesn't work. Like, that's actually just saying that people are willing to become voluntary slaves. No. Like, we see this all around the world in places like China. A lot of these people are forced into labors and things that they don't want to do. But she's just saying that people naturally will do these things. Who's going to build these highways? Who's going to, like, fix your electricity, your foundation? We don't non-incentively want to go do those things. Like, a lot of men get up every day so that they can go ahead, take care of their family, make some money, get into a better position in life. Yeah, but I mean, this is just crazy. It's crazy that people think like this.
Give me a case study of that worked. Give me one case study.
We don't even need to look at case studies. We can just look at charity work.
Of course not.
Why don't we actually look at a case study? You got two countries. North Korea, South Korea. One is communism and one is capitalism.
Yes.
North Korea's GDP last year was $23 billion.
Are we judging countries' values based off GDP and not what they value for
freedom of speech? You can't, like, if you lived in North Korea, you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing right now. You wouldn't have a voice. In South Korea, I'm going to give you stats. In South Korea, their GDP is $1.7 trillion.
South Korea is also owned by like 5 companies in total in the entire
70
country.
times better
you think
than
that's
North
something
Korea.
to look at? If you are employed by the top 5 countries, you are practically unemployed in these countries.
Do you like to be free?
I'm not going to be free in a country like South Korea where I'm only employed in 5 companies.
This is crazy. So the comparison is being made. Would you rather live in South Korea or North Korea? She is saying that I am not going to be free in South Korea. Alternatively, that is defaulting her to say that I would rather preferably live in North Korea. Like, or she's just trying to deflect the answer. But the thing is, it's just like, we have to really take into consideration and actually think. When we look at certain things like this, he's trying to make a comparison between like how much better a country is due to having capitalism versus some type of socialist type communist lifestyle versus having one that's like open free market.
free to call
or no
somebody
job.
out like me? Do you like to be free where you can have a strong opinion? Do you like to be free to have your dreams?
I like to be free, but that's why I'm anti-capitalist.
Well, maybe you ought to
That
move
is
to
why
North
I'm
Korea or
anti-capitalist, because
Cuba or
capitalism
Venezuela.
removes that choice. There is no real incentive of capitalism because the incentive is survival.
If I
when
were
you get
to-
into communism, the incentive is for the common good.
I love that. I got an offer.
She actually said it. Guys, wow. She said in communism, the incentive is the common good. Guys, the only common good in communism is what someone else deems what the common good is, not you. So it's not what everyone collectively thinks. There's no freedom. Like, this is really insane. I like to bring up this point because recently I had gotten called privileged on social media because I was saying that, you know what, like, I think America is like one of the best countries to ever live in. I've been to other countries and other places around the world, but honestly and realistically, America is one of the best places in the world to ever live in, especially as a black person. I am not lying to you. But when it comes to being here, I was just like telling them, I'm just like, yeah, like, because, we're granted all the ability and the opportunities to work at all these different companies. Meanwhile, those different companies don't exist elsewhere. That particular void in the economy just doesn't exist. Like, some of these companies just do not exist. So you at least have the ability to work somewhere where someone's created a job or created a company where you have the ability to also generate and gain from it. Even though it's not to the same extent as the founder or someone, respectfully, and it shouldn't be, because if I come up with something, a great idea, and I work, 18 hours a day, which is usually what some of these people who are the founders, like the people who do these startups, they don't sleep. They go 24/7, 7 days a week, and they go at it 100%. But in efforts for them to try and make something happen, and if they do succeed, then they should be granted the affordability or the ability to benefit the most from something that they created, because there's so much risk involved. There is no guarantee in success. And when you come in, all you have to do is just clock in, get your paycheck, and go.
Move on. If I were to give you your $2,350, which is the cost to renunciate your citizenship, and I paid you your first class, flight to whatever communist country, and $20,000 to spend
Name me a
money,
communist country.
would you give up your citizenship to
Name
go
me
to
a
that
communist country, and I'll
Whichever
move with it.
communist country you want to go to.
yeah,
Cuba, we
that's
can
not
give you
a communist
Venezuela,
country.
we give you North Korea.
We are doomed here, guys. Cuba is not communist, is what she said. Clip that. She said Cuba is not communist. All of my Cuban friends, y'all have to get into the comments or say something to this video. But yeah, once again, I want to give a shout out to Jubilee and Patrick Bet-David, the PBD podcast. I like what Jubilee's kind of doing with like meshing different points to like kind of like have a clash and like, or try and reason with either side. And they have other ones too. It's like socialists versus 20 conservatives or vice versa. But it's really cool. And then PBD, I like this guy for a lot of reasons, because he's just a very hardworking person, runs a successful business. And I think he has a lot of jewels and gems. Like he's pretty much given the blueprint in a lot of ways to like how to navigate this system and how to succeed in it. But this girl said Cuba is not communist, guys. Ah, man, we are doomed. ChatGPT is taking over and melting our brains.
Any one of those you want to go
Those are communist countries. Not
Choose any one of them. I'll give you a one-way ticket, and I'll fund it for you if you want to.
That's it.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Uh-oh. Don't break that chair.
Hi.
What's your name?
Well, y'all saw that?
My name's Hunter.
Had to. Oh man! All right, let's go.
To be honest, I've never seen your videos before. Even though there is some real value to free enterprise, the profit motive often creates a perverse incentive and worse outcomes in certain situations. For example, healthcare. How much would you pay for a life-saving treatment for yourself or one of your family members?
How much would I pay for it?
Say you have cancer and you have an 80% survival rate with chemotherapy and less than 10% without it. How much would you pay? Whatever it takes, right?
Sure.
That's a situation of inelastic demand, when the amount that you're willing to pay is not based on the value of the service, because your life does not have a finite value. In the US, 66.5% of all bankruptcies are because of medical debt. In most other developed nations, that number is way lower, if not zero.
So over half of the deaths in 2019, a study published that over half of the people who file for bankruptcy is related to medical reasons, so medical debt. And, I think I can agree with that. I think I could agree with that. I think the medical system is busted, and it's way more complex than a lot of people just realize. It's not just, oh, well, this person wants me to pay this. There's insurance, and there's a whole lot of great things that are happening in the background, which I think that there needs to be reform for. But I don't like to oversimplify a lot of these things and act like I know more than, like a particular person who has involved experience in that field. Experience is way more valuable to me than someone who just reads a book and say, like, I have a degree that represents it. You can have a degree and it don't mean it don't mean anything. Like, I've met a lot of people with degrees and they don't know anything. And I've met a lot of people who don't have degrees and they're like some of the smartest people I've ever known.
And at the same time, the US
and vice versa too
does not have one of the best healthcare systems in the world. We pay over $13,000 per capita. Meanwhile, Taiwan, which by most metrics has the best healthcare system and a national healthcare service, only pays about $2,500 per capita per year.
So what does that tell you?
That tells us
that's wasted expenditure.
Yes, that is a massively wasted expenditure.
That tells you the government doesn't know how to spend our money.
No,
we keep
in
raising
our case,
taxes, we keep more money, and they don't know how to spend the money.
No, most of that money is coming from private insurance. In fact, 77% of the people who went bankrupt from medical debt had insurance and then lost it because they couldn't pay.
So we can address that, the fact that 60-something% of bankruptcies are due to health, which is, you're right, we've done many content on that piece. I want you to come back to incentive. Address the issue with incentive right now, with capitalism.
The reason why the medical debt is so high in that is because of the profit motive. If people will pay whatever it takes to not die,
I would disagree with that. I don't think a lot of this stuff is due to incentives and capitalism in the way that PBD is trying to explain. But let's see if this guy's going to cook.
Profit motive in that case is perverse, because healthcare shouldn't be a market in the same way that other things might be a market.
So you don't think the motive to have profit, to come out with a solution, is a good thing for the marketplace, specifically in the healthcare side?
I think it depends on which market you're talking about. It's way different. We're talking about video games or cell phones or TVs or other goods that aren't as necessary as healthcare treatments.
You're specific to healthcare.
Yes, I'm talking specifically about healthcare in certain other markets where there's a natural...
You ever heard of Home Depot?
Yes, I'm aware.
So one of the guys who's the founders of Home Depot, investors of Home Depot, his name is Ken Langone. His father died at 62 years old. Ken Langone today is roughly 90 years old, give or take. When he died at 62 years old, he tells the story that if there was a simple thing as blood thinners, his father would have lived to be 90 years old just like he is today.
Yes, that makes sense.
Came because of innovation, which he's been on for many years. My dad's been on blood thinners for the last 40 years. So
I think you're conflating two things right now.
I don't like when these people like to talk. Like, y'all been talking so much. But you won't let the guy who's trying to make a point and respectfully gave you your room to like make your piece, at least get to a final point. Like, let him at least get his final thoughts, and then you say what you need to say. But
is the result of the market, because many healthcare developments are created by research grants from healthcare funding, whether it's in the United States or in other countries. In most other first world countries, the result of medical research developments, which are massively...
And I'll say this, those medical research developments aren't going to happen if there's not incentives. If I know if I know I'm going to find the cure for cancer, trust me, I'm going to be out there expecting millions and billions, maybe even trillions. But I'm not going to be doing this stuff for free. I'm not going to be sitting in no lab 13 hours a day doing all this stuff and then just saying it's for the common good. That's fake. It does not exist. I'm going to expect my money and I need it yesterday.
Outpacing that in the U.S. now because of our inefficiency, because we have a market-based system for healthcare.
A very basic question for you.
Most of that is because of non-market-based systems.
Basic question for you. If that's the case, It keeps going back to the same thing. If it's better in other places than it is here, why are Americans and others not going there? Why are people coming here? It's very basic.
How much does a plane ticket cost?
No, they have the money to go to different places. They don't, because they know America's the greatest country in the world. They know it.
Okay.
Appreciate
nice
you.
to meet you, by the way.
And I'll say this too, guys. Like, I think America is probably the greatest country in the world. And yes, it comes without saying that it has its faults, but I don't know. I haven't visited, so I don't have that knowledge or experience to like really say that. But just from the lens that I've been able to see, that's all I can say. But that's just my opinion.
Hey, I'm Luke.
Luke?
Yes.
Like the
Luke.
hat. Good to meet you.
Oh, thank you very much. Good to meet you too. So I think incentives are exactly the fundamental problem with capitalism. Is that you say incentives are what make it work, and I think that's the whole issue. Is that the primary incentives are either greed, amass as much personal wealth as you possibly can.
You think that's the problem? It's greed?
Yeah, exactly. And like
you're not greedy at all.
And like you said, survival.
Yeah.
Right? So the person, working 5 jobs, that they're doing that to
Sure.
they wouldn't want to do that if they didn't need to survive. But that's such a horrible dystopian world to live in. If someone has to work 5 jobs just to survive.
Man, there's people that will kill to work 5 jobs to survive, because the other alternative is just to struggle and stay in poverty for the rest of your life. There's one point I had to work like 3 different jobs at one time. I don't know. For me, I didn't like, at least thinking back to it now, it wasn't really that I had a problem working the 3 jobs. I was just kind of like, well, this is kind of what needs to get done in order for me to get to that next level. I just kept doing that. And I felt like life was kind of like looked at for me. When I look back, it feels like it was like a video game. Like you have to, acquire a set of skills and complete a whole bunch of tasks. And then now that I have these skills, I can now level up, and now I'm qualified to go do this other thing that I wanted to do, So that's what it is.
How did they get there? How much of that is on their decision making? How much of that is on their doing? How much of that is on the market where they're not finding ways to improve themselves?
It doesn't matter how much onus is on the individual. We want to create a world.
Of course it is.
No. See, we want to create a world in which people don't have to earn their right to exist, to live.
We live in a country where majority of the world wants to come here. The most important citizenship country is America.
Right.
People give up their lives to come here. Have you ever lived in another country before?
No, not lived, no.
Why do you think so many want to come here?
I think the people coming here are coming from gang-ridden, corruption-ridden, violence-ridden.
You think that's just all it is? You think I came from a gang-ridden in Iran? I lived there 11 years.
I think the majority of, certainly coming from South America.
Most people come here because what you're doing to me, you're sitting across from me right now.
Right.
Millions.
Opportunity, guys. You live here, guys. It is a blessing. It's an opportunity. You have the ability to have an upward mobility in society and downward mobility. Like, you're as free as you want to be successful, but you're also as free as you want to be unsuccessful. So like, you can go all the way to the top, or you can go all the way to the bottom, but that's actually a pretty good deal in comparison to like what a lot of other places have, because it's like, the only thing is you only can stay at where you're at, or you go even lower. So
people are going to watch this. In America, you can call me out. You can say whatever you want.
Right.
Nothing's going to happen.
Right.
You're free and safe here, right?
Sure. Freedom of speech is nothing to do with.
And this is before Charlie Kirk passed away. So rest in peace.
Do that in Iran? Of course it is. There's a lot of elements with America. You're talking incentive. The amount of benefits America offers against other countries, it's so much higher, where somebody with big dreams, incentives, they're willing to come and say, I want to come to America, please let me in. And some come and take advantage of it. But to say the individual that's working 3 to 5 jobs, if you do that for a season, if you do that for 2 years, if you do that for 5 years, fine. If you do that for 20, 30 years, you're doing something wrong.
But the point is, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? Those are the inalienable rights. We shouldn't have to earn those rights. We shouldn't have to earn the right to.
He's conflating it. The pursuit of happiness, that means my ability to chase happiness. that does exist. You can do that here.
You do have to
earn the right. No, because
actually,
we just want to live, exist. We can't work our blood, sweat, and tears just to survive. That's a horrible dystopian world that we live in right now.
No, then what do you think we're here for? To just sit around and play video games?
What
do you think we're here for? To sit around and watch TV shows?
We're here to
sit and watch cat videos?
We are here to create a prosperous community to lift everyone up.
How do you create a prosperous community? How do you create a prosperous community? Matter of fact, for you, how have you positively impacted a community?
I guess volunteering, food banks,
volunteering, food. I appreciate you for doing that. Have you created jobs for others?
Created jobs? No, I wouldn't say so.
Why have you?
I haven't had the ability to do so.
Do you think it's easy for a season?
I have to go. I have to. I'm sorry.
How have you positively impacted a community?
I guess volunteering, food banks,
volunteering, food. I appreciate you for doing that. Have you created jobs for others?
Created jobs? No, I wouldn't say so.
Why have you not?
I haven't had the ability to do so.
Do you think it's easy or do you think it's hard?
To create jobs is probably hard, yeah.
Okay, so the people that create jobs, you think they should have a little bit of incentive for having risked their life savings, spend time away their families to create jobs so somebody like you can work for that company?
Sure, but that is
the incentive.
And bravo for them, but that does not give them the right to pay themselves $2 million bonuses while their workers are scraping by at like $10 an hour.
You don't get to choose how much money I choose to make. That's not your business. That's my business. If you have 4 girlfriends, and I have 1. Is it my business to tell you can't have 4 girlfriends?
I think
if you play 7 hours of Fortnite every day,
right,
and I don't play Fortnite at all, should I tell you you shouldn't be able to play 7 hours of Fortnite a day?
Woo! Man, hold on. PBD is cooking this man up in that hat. Guys, like, I mean, I really like what he said about that. Like, have you ever created any opportunities for anyone in your community? Have you ever hired anyone? Have you ever created any jobs or gave anyone something that uplifted the community? Like, what have you done? And a lot of people will say they haven't done anything, and which is completely fine. That it's not a dig, but you shouldn't try and be looking at the other person's pocket and be like, well, you shouldn't be able to make as much as you're doing, even though you're taking care of me. Nah, it doesn't happen like that. I can't decide how many girlfriends or how many people you want to sleep with. And at the same time, you don't get to dictate, my ability to make as much money as I want legally, but you shouldn't be able to say like, hey, like, you created this nice idea. I love your product. I love your cars. I love the things that you've created, this product. But since a lot of us buy into whatever you're making, I don't think you should be able to make as much money as you're making. That's what it sounds like, which is crazy. I'm so shocked that I had to argue this with people. And more specifically, it was one of the people that was calling me privileged. When I came from the poorest country on the Western Hemisphere. That's where my family's from. We're from Haiti. And, we came here like from the mud, had to get it out the mud. And like I said, I just outworked and just kept, I kept going. And like, that's our ability to have the pursuit of happiness, our ability to like go into this space and just say like, hey, like, I want to be able to pursue this dream or this dream. We all can do it, guys. We all can pursue whatever we want, but you have to be wise and you have to make the right investments.
In my view.
Hey, appreciate you.
Absolutely.
It's gonna get cooked. Uh-oh.
Hi.
How are you? What's your name?
Zena.
Zena.
Awesome. So this claim about incentive is one that we see often promoted by capitalism enjoyers, right? Mm-hmm. And it's this idea that, profit incentives is the only thing that can make humans do things, get up out of bed every day, which has never been the case. Historically, it's not the case. Psychologically.
Historically, it's never been the case?
No.
What has been the case?
So we've seen...
What's been the incentive?
The incentive is intrinsic motivation.
Intrinsic motivation?
Of course. Have you ever heard of intrinsic motivation?
Of course I have. So you think people are going to go just do anything for no incentives?
The incentive is intrinsic, meaning passion, interest, and honing your skills.
Whether you get paid or not.
Well, the problem is that we're forcing people to, need to, work to survive.
So what's the alternative? So give me another solution, another economical system.
May I finish the talking point?
Yeah, actually, I'm curious.
So the psychological theory of self-determination is widely accepted in psychology and basically explains that intrinsic motivation and passion is actually what predicts incentive. You're arguing that incentive is integral to profit.
This girl been going to school too much. You want to learn big words and not really make a good point. You're not really understanding what you're saying. Yeah, I disagree with this. People aren't just intrinsically incentivized to go do whatever to work. And that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. I can't wait to hear her answer about like where does that exist in the world.
Driven motivation, that's not true. Extrinsic motivation, all times, at every single case, is going to predict less creativity, less motivation, less skill, etc. Intrinsic motivation is what causes things like technological development. Some of the greatest breakthroughs have been from people who are devoted in honing their skill.
So should they get paid for it?
I think that we shouldn't live in a system that privately owns the means of production and forces people in this position.
What college did you go to?
USC.
You went to USC. What did you major in?
Sociology.
Sociology. Who's your hero as a professor? Who's the professor you look up to?
This doesn't seem like a topic that's related to...
Man, why is it that people want to take this victim position? This doesn't seem like he's having a conversation with you. Answer the question.
I ask this question because somebody convinced you of that. Somebody convinced you that is the way that
psychology and studies convinced me of this fact about the human mind.
Unfortunately, to your claim, results show that the greatest economical system
intrinsic motivation predicts more creativity
that allows
and more
people to go above and beyond.
Anything like
She's so rude, bro. She's so rude.
Every single issue out there. An entrepreneur who gets up, who says,
"What was your claim again, Mister?"
Let him finish.
Incentive. What about incentive? Who has an incentive to go out there and build their lives, and you put no monetary incentive. So I'm saying that this incentive
that you're talking about,
like if you ever talk to anyone and this is how they conduct themselves in a debate or conversation or argument, bro, it's over. It's done. They don't care about what you got to say. They're not listening. They don't understand what you're trying to say, and they'll never understand because they want to hear themselves more than they're able to at least hear what you have to say.
What predicts the best incentive, the best drive, and the best creativity?
So what do you think about
has
Elon
been proven
Musk?
by psychology.
What do you think about Elon Musk?
Can we respond to my claim?
This is about incentive.
All right, awesome. So you're arguing that incentive is intrinsic and tied to extrinsic motivation. What we find is that the best incentive comes from intrinsic motivation.
So a person that's passionate about solving an issue is going to build something bigger than somebody else that's not.
Yeah, so someone who has a true passion for this.
Yeah, so
exactly. So profit motivation is not the thing that's driving innovation, right?
Of course
psychology.
It is. Of course
so
it is.
Psychology proves that that's not the case.
There's not,
that profit's not the reason that we have the greatest inventions that we do today.
I don't know if I disagree with the fact that there's a passion behind it. Are you saying people with passion, even if there wasn't the incentive to make as much money as they would make, people would still pursue it even with or without money?
That's what psychology says.
Well, your claims are wrong because
that's not true.
Whoever your psychology professor is, if you look at data and you find out how America, that's only been around for 249 years, schooled all the other countries that have been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years more, they did better than others because the incentive
because they accumulated profit, right, to 1% of the population and continue to produce.
Yeah, this girl don't know what she's talking about. She sounds like someone who hasn't really been out there and actually worked and earned something due to need, but just kind of due to, oh, well, it's just like, I deserve this,
It's on that
not
basis.
Necessarily.
Right, we have this, okay.
It's not necessarily.
Do we want to respond? Because you can say that.
You've been interrupting the entire time. So if you're saying about the 1% are the problem and they're the only ones that make money,
That's
a lot of people make money. You said the profit goes to the 1%.
I'm explaining how it is that America has become the dominant power that it is now, right? What we see is that because we have this engine, right, this desire to accumulate profit, we morally justify things like going to other countries, imperializing them, colonizing them, and extracting their resources, right, to funnel our country, right? Social democracies in the Nordic countries don't do this. So yeah, they might not be the wealthiest power, but they have higher rates of education, literacy, human satisfaction, etc.
But I mean, I agree and I disagree. Like, I do think America has gone into some of these other countries, taken and done stuff like that. But all the other countries done the same thing. China's done it. Russia's done it. Lots of countries in Africa have been doing it for years. Like, so they would go into other civilization and take what they need, extract resources in times of war. And then, they'd take over and there'd be a new person in power. And I mean, I think with time, like, things have just kind of like divulged into like a new way of doing that, but let's let her cook.
Right. So it depends on what we actually value in a society. Do we value well-being or do we value profit accumulation?
Validates your point. If that's the case, people would move to those states. They don't. What? When you judge a great restaurant by the amount of people that come in, you can say the food sucks here.
Yeah,
you can say the service sucks here. There are millions of
people that lived in Germany.
But everybody's lined up to want to come here. They're not lined up to go into those countries. They're just used by professors as theories.
There were millions of people that also lived in Germany in the 1920s.
I lived in Germany before as well, for 2 years.
She did not cook.
Before we go any further, we want to take a moment to say...
She did not cook. She got cooked, bro. All right, let's go into this new point.
My next claim is capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any other system.
Ooh.
Patrick.
How are you?
I'm Gabby.
Gabby?
Yeah,
good to meet you.
Hi, Gabby.
So I would argue that governments have actually lifted the most people out of poverty. If you look historically, we look at China, for instance, had the most significant poverty reduction in all of human history. They pulled 800 million people out of poverty using state-owned enterprises and state centralized planning. They did work with the capitalist system, but they did it.
There's a lot that needs to be unpacked here. But with the IP theft and a whole bunch of other stuff, you can say, yeah, they pull a lot of people out of, if you're just looking at it from just that standpoint. But in terms of like kind of doing things underhandedly, breaking the law, from pulling those people out of poverty, and they're still using some of those practices today. Yeah.
Most of it was done through state-funded infrastructure, education, and contributing to strong literacy programs.
Like that's where the thing comes from, like where people say Chinese clone. Have you ever heard of that? Like, so a particular type of technology would be developed here. Like, let's say the iPhone, and it would be manufactured, created here, designed here. Then, eventually we went to China and, we're incentivized to go there because they were saying, oh, it's cheaper to build over there. And it made a lot of other people wealthy because we brought jobs there. But at the same time, they stole IP to now what we're seeing today is that China's created this version of the iPhone 17, I believe. And it looks the exact same, but now they're able to add minor tweaks to it. And people are like kind of like leveraging it as like, you see like China's way more developed. They're way better. But the thing is they've over time have been utilizing or leveraging American design, IP, anything in order to recreate it, reverse engineer it and, sell it as a product. I want to hear what you got to say.
Redistributing the wealth. I think that my other argument would be that there hasn't been an opportunity for alternative systems like socialism to pull enough people out of poverty. So we look at examples.
There hasn't been?
There hasn't been enough opportunities for them to succeed. And so when
Why
we
do you
say,
think that is?
I think that is partly because of the U.S. and I think because capitalist forces and global market insecurities have sabotaged these attempts.
Socialism has existed before the U.S.
To do socialism. So we look at an example in Chile in the 1960s. They elected a democratic socialist, and
I might be wrong.
He proposed literacy reform, wealth redistribution, land reform, and all of that was a threat, obviously, to the United States because McCarthyism was on the rise at the time. And so instead of allowing Allende to have a chance with that, the U.S. Orchestrated a CIA-backed coup to take over and to have a military dictatorship that led the country instead of Allende, who actually was having a lot of success in reducing the poverty rates before the U.S. interfered. And so I think we look at other parts of Latin America, like Venezuela, for instance, and we see the same thing. We see that the U.S. has interfered several times. With Chavez in Venezuela, he was able to reduce the poverty reduction in half in the first decade of him being in office, and he was sabotaged ultimately by the U.S. and by a military dictatorship, so that the people that replaced them were actually.
So may I respond? It's sure. A lot of different cases here. So thank you for that. Let's go China first. Okay, so when you say China was able to recover and because they use state-funded, nationalized systems. So in 1978, Xiaoping, the leader of China, went to Japan. He saw what was going on with Japan for 2 decades, Every year their GDP was growing by 15%. The economy was doubling pretty much every 4 years.
Sure.
They go over there, they say, we got to find a way to compete with Japan. How do they have fewer people, but they're beating us? They sit down with their leaders after a few drinks. Eventually they say, how did you fix your economy to be growing the way that it is? A capitalistic society that they had in Japan. They asked the question from Xiaoping, the Prime Minister Fukuda, asked the question, how many banks do you guys have in China? He says, we have one bank. He said, it's a nationalized bank? He says, yeah. That's it? Yeah. How many loan officers do you have? Not many. You want to compete with one bank? Yes. He says, if you want to compete with us or others, here's what you have to do. You need 5,000 banks with 35 branches, with 30 loan officers. That's a total of 5.25 million loan officers, and a population of 600 million people that are living there. You do that every week. You take 10 applications with these loan officers for small business owners, and you allow the small business owner to compete. They did that. China started competing. By the way, in America in the 1920s, we had around 30,000 banks when we were really, competing in a marketplace. In the 80s, we ended up having around 14,000. Today, we only have 4,100 banks in America. That concept of allowing just one bank to compete, it's not going to work. China takes on the idea from Japan.
If I can interrupt you, I think that
they start growing with certain capitalistic philosophies.
I think you're thinking about this in very capitalist.
That's a good point. Really good point.
Terms, which makes sense. You're a capitalist, but
because it works. That's the idea. Because it's produced the results.
You're only thinking about these scenarios in a situation where market mechanisms are in place, and this is the problem that I have with so many capitalists: is they can't exit their worldview and try to.
They wonder why the banks. Y'all wonder why the banks were so necessary for a country to compete. Well, when it comes to like money printing, I think we have this philosophy where we believe that someone is just sitting in a room and just printing the money. Actually, a lot of it is due through the banks when people like take out loans to start businesses, to buy houses, whatnot. That's the actual money printing. And that's actually where we owe a majority of the debts to. And if we default, then it's particularly these types of scenarios that we have to look at. If those people default, what happens in society? How does like our country crumble? Like it's a lot of that type of stuff. But by having more banks, it just gives it boosts up the economy because there's so many jobs, there's so many different companies, there's so many different innovation, and now we're able to compete with other countries so that now we're able to leverage that in a way where it's like, okay, well, people want to come here, they want to work here, they want to use our products, and yeah, so on and so forth. But that's pretty much puts us on the larger global scale of competitions, like against other countries. Like you think about it, like the biggest companies here compete against some of the biggest companies overseas and elsewhere. But yeah.
See a world where socialism could be in place because they don't understand the untapped potential of socialism. And I'm a democratic socialist. I think that we need to build forward towards that.
Mandami. Isn't that what he was? Isn't that what he is or something? Mandami, man, I can't wait to see the great work you about to do in New York. I can't wait. Y'all, if y'all from New York, especially if you're breakers from New York, I really want to know what you guys think about what's about to happen. What do you think about his policies? Do you think it's actually good? Like, where is all this money going to come from for like all these programs? And I've heard him like eliminating private housing, free transportation, increasing the wealth tax. Like, where is all this money going to go? Because like New York has already like lost over 20 billion during the pandemic, or I believe it was, from the pandemic up until now, but I had to look it up. But if you have all the rich people leaving, all the people who create jobs, who invest, who create these opportunities for, your environment, your economy, your community, then what's going to be in place? Like if all the shopping centers, if all the malls, if all the grocery stores, if all of these people who run these particular things are incentivized to leave, I just want to know what's going to be put in place to actually fix that, because there won't be a large enough tax base. People won't have money. People won't be able to generate money because those big companies that were there no longer exist. So what would pay into the system to incentivize free healthcare for children, free transportation, non-private housing, like affordable housing, like the projects to continue to develop. And from some people, they've argued with me and said that the projects were a good thing and they are great things. More people should live in them. But that just shows their true character and where they've actually lived, because they've never been in environments like that.
With reforms, and I think we need to work with the government. I don't think that we should abandon the state. I also don't think that we should give state elites the complete control over society. I do think that we should work with the state to instill these reforms and then eventually erode capitalism.
But unfortunately, socialism has had hundreds of years
you're thinking in terms of
to produce results, and it hasn't worked. Do you know why it doesn't work, though?
It's been sabotaged.
It's been sabotaged, or it's because it forces people to do something they don't want to do.
Does capitalism not do the same?
No, capitalism gives
there's
you
7 million people in this country who have to work multiple jobs just to get by.
I have to work multiple jobs.
Guys, I can quit. Like, look, if I don't like a job, guys, I have the freedom to leave that job and go elsewhere whenever I want. And some of these other, places, you don't even have an option to leave. You have to do this, and that's all you could do. Versus when you come here, you just have the freedom. Look, I don't like working at this mall. I'm going to go work at the car shop. Oh, man, the car shop's pretty hard. I don't want to work here. I'm going to go work at Walmart. Oh, I don't like working at Walmart. I'm going to go to Amazon. I don't like Amazon, so on and so forth. But it's not like you're forced to go work at those jobs. You can create your own opportunities. You can create your own business. You can go do whatever you want. Now, do you believe in yourself as much as that job that's only going to pay you $14 an hour, $7 an hour? I don't know, but look at it from that standpoint. Like, who's going to create it, you or them? And in most cases, a lot of people believe or rely on someone else to create it. That way, it doesn't have to be as hard on them.
So if the options are to work or to starve, that's not freedom, that's economic coercion.
Respectfully, if you do that for a period of your life, I understand it. If you're doing that for 30 years, you're doing something wrong. You shouldn't be working multiple jobs for the rest of your life.
So, first of all, I'm not going to argue with this moral argument. I think that people who live in poverty, especially when we look at how many people live in poverty in this country, and also it depends on how you define the poverty line, but there's 40 million Americans who live below the poverty line in this country. There's 3 guys in this country that own 40% of the wealth. How does that work in a country that is
You really want to go there? You want to go there? Okay, so let's talk about it. So when we talk about the rich people at the top, okay, and you say, well, the rich don't pay enough taxes. Do you know what the bottom 50% of taxpayers in America pay towards the revenue that the government gets in taxes? Do you know what the bottom 50% pays?
Tell me.
2% of taxes. Do you know what the top 1% pays?
There's been several years.
Do you know what the
top
1%?
They've paid nothing.
No, hang on a second.
Taxes.
This is from the IRS. I'm not writing a blog from Huffington Post. This is not Daily Beast. I'm
straight from the source.
Telling you the story. The top 1% pays 42%
I'll say this. The
of
top
all
1%
tax
is
revenue.
about to pay.
So, if the top 1% pays 40% of all the tax revenue, and the bottom 50% only account for 2%, guys. If you plan on increasing the tax on the people who make the most, it disincentivizes them to even want to continue to have those jobs, have those different types of opportunities for the people who rely on them for jobs. Like, come on, it's easy.
A lot less in taxes because of the provision that just went into Trump's, your guys' big beautiful bill.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was fast.
Hi. I'm Anne.
Anne?
That was a really slow run.
Nice to meet you. So I do want to address part of the claim about poverty, but I also want to address what you brought up about paying taxes. Mm-hmm. You said the top 1% pays a large amount of taxes. The problem is that the bottom 2 quintiles can't pay taxes because they quite literally have no wealth. Do you understand that? The bottom quintile of the United States doesn't have any wealth. In fact, they're in debt, so they have literally negative wealth.
Why do you think that is?
I think that's for a lot of reasons. I think that's because workers have been
self-inflicted wounds.
Exploited. I think that they haven't had the opportunity to gain social mobility.
Why do you think that is?
Because of exploitation.
You think they're being exploited?
Yes.
Oh,
of course.
So people are being forced to work at companies. They don't have a choice.
I didn't say that they were forced.
So people are being...
they are being forced if the other option is starve or die.
What job do you have right now? What do you do for a living?
I do work from home stuff. I don't want to disclose that.
So you chose to do that, right? That's your choice. Great. If somebody works at Starbucks as a barista, it's their choice. If somebody has a job that they're working, it's their choice. If somebody is not utilizing their time properly and accordingly, of course the market's not going to pay you more.
Do you think that, like, they brought up single mothers earlier. Do you think that single mothers are sitting around playing Fortnite 15 hours a day?
Unfortunately, single mothers were manipulated on what happened.
Is that a yes or no?
Single mothers were manipulated by what Lyndon Johnson came out with. They changed the benefits on giving single mothers the incentive to have kids on all the welfare program. That changed our system in a major way. The feminist movement got single mothers to believe they don't need men and they're going to do everything by themselves and they don't need a man to help them out. This division that's happened between us caused many people to be in the situation that they're
most
at.
households are 50,
He's speaking right now. This is crazy.
So that has nothing to do with feminism.
Not
feminism
necessarily.
didn't just like convince women because they're too stupid to think for themselves.
Feminism was one of the worst things that happened in America because it pinned men against women.
Do you think that women are so stupid that they've been brainwashed? Okay, so you don't think that they've just fallen into this feminist propaganda?
Like, why are people like they're not bringing up a point? You're not doing anything.
They're idiots.
No, I don't think that, but I do
never
think
said any of those.
People can be manipulated
but they're
and brainwashed.
not stupid enough to do that because the majority of people are splitting nearly towards 50-50.
There are so many people that bought into a philosophy that stole decades away from their lives. Decades away from their lives because they bought into an idea that didn't produce the results.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about capitalism is the best economical system that provides the best results for people.
But we can't just jump back and forth between claim to claim to claim. So the claim about feminism brainwashing people into being single mothers, how does that work?
No, I didn't. I said feminists originally brainwashed women to believe men are the enemy. That led to where we are today. Last week, report came in. That has led them to being
single mothers?
Yes, in many cases, because they don't need men.
Do you have evidence for that?
100%.
You really think a single mother wants to be a single mother?
Absolutely, we have evidence of that.
You think the single mother making minimum wage down the road, like working for some grocery store?
Y'all gonna try and cancel me for playing this video. I'm just trying to bring the real conversation to you guys so that you could better leverage and utilize whatever is being said in this video and just have a diverse perspective on a lot of these talking points.
Or having to take care of all of her children is just like, I just don't need a man. I just want to be independent.
You see how she's talking, guys? It's very belittling. It's a very dismissive. It's not really conducive to this entire argument.
Poverty
what
to be
percentage of the U.S. revenue that we get in you think we use for entitlement programs? What percentage?
I don't remember the exact percentage.
What do you think the number is? We bring in $4.9 trillion.
But it's far less than what we do in private spending.
We bring $4.9 trillion in, okay? The U.S. revenue comes in. What percentage do you think goes to entitlement programs?
I don't know.
What do you think is a reasonable number?
Well, what you're calling entitlement programs, I'm actually not sure what you mean by that.
I'm talking about Social Security. I'm talking about
so social
Section
welfare.
8. I'm talking about any of these.
It's much less than other OECD countries.
What percentage do you think it is?
I don't remember the exact percentage, but it's much less than other OECD countries.
You think it's 10%?
We are far behind.
20%? 30%? What do you think the number is?
No, but it's relatively low compared to other OECD countries.
What do you think it is? Can you guess the number?
I don't remember the number.
Look at that. She doesn't want to try and say it because she knows she's wrong. She knows she's wrong. But man, but get his answer real quick.
Off the top of my head, I've already said that.
68%. How much more entitlement?
68%. Can we fact check that?
You can fact check that.
Okay.
Please do so.
Please.
68% goes to entitlement programs.
Of our federal budget?
No, of the revenue that comes in, 68%.
So the capita GDP.
Not GDP. You're confusing the two different things here. Actual tax revenue that we get.
Okay, so tax revenue.
68% of it goes towards entitlement.
68% is being utilized for government social programs. That's Social Security, that's welfare, that's this gap is going to continue to increase because what it's really showing is that more of the revenue that we are taking in as a country is being utilized to pull these people out of poverty, but that gap is still widening. No matter how much money we throw at this problem, the problem is still continuing to get worse. And that could be due to a whole bunch of other things. It could be due to lack of education, as you're seeing from a lot of people in this video. Yeah, I wish you did better than that.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Grace?
Yes, Grace.
Good to meet you.
Hi. I want to say that I think it's pretty comical that an elite such as yourself has the gall to tell us average Americans who's in poverty and who's not. A lot of times,
I was an average American.
You're not
I was
anymore.
A guy that was in poverty.
You're not anymore.
And you can also change. You can also change.
Anyways,
do you believe
you're talking
you can change?
down. A lot of times that the market for poverty is actually very low. So a lot of times like $2 a day is the line for how they measure poverty.
$2.15, yeah.
And that's ridiculous. So if I make $5 a day, I'm not in poverty.
That's because
I can actually live. I can pay the rent.
Sure.
But we're talking about this.
Yeah, $2 is not. Look, we have a minimum wage.
Country, right? We're not talking about around the world. I've noticed that you like to do that. You like to like skirt from America and talk about other countries to try to make it look like we're better, but we're actually getting worse.
America's the greatest country in the world.
Isn't that what it's supposed to do? Isn't minimum wage supposed to fix that? Like the $2, but people don't understand inflation and money printing. It's so much more that you really have to do your own research.
Anyways, it's the greatest country. We are at the highest that we've ever been with homelessness since we started collecting
data.
Why
is that? Ask you. Are you from California?
We haven't had a pay raise since California? 2009.
Do you live here?
Our minimum wage nationally is $7.25.
Okay.
And you wonder why we have the highest poverty rate. You think that capitalism's winning? Can you survive? Would you like to live off $7.25
I used
an hour?
to work for $4.25 at Haagen-Dazs.
Right.
Then I
and that
went
was
and
a very
worked
different
at
time.
Burger King for $4.75.
And how much do you make now?
Then I make millions today. Then
right,
I worked
that's
at
why you
Bob's
like
Big
capitalism,
Boy.
because we're not all making that.
But the difference is,
why is it like people demonize people for pulling themselves out of poverty? We should be like, man, I want to emulate that. How did you do it? I want to learn from someone who's been in my same standpoint and now have pulled themselves to a better level to where like I want to be like, you know what? I want to be a millionaire too. I want to live and do some of these things. This is why a lot of people will forever stay in that same position. Like they'll never get out of it.
People in poverty and saying you should work harder. You should work. You know, you can be lean.
A lot of people will look at the end result versus looking at the process. Like a lot of people, they hate to look at your process or the progress that you've made. Like they'll watch you like when you were broke, and then you know you're making all this progress, and then now you're finally where you're at, and then now they want to just point out, look where you're at, and look at where I'm at. Nah, like look at the progress. I was in the same position as you.
Albeit.
My hope is that you believe you can change and improve, that you believe you can upgrade yourself. That's my belief.
You know what? That's what rich people like you want to keep telling us.
But
you can be just like me. Do you want to be like me? If you work hard enough,
I'm not
you can
saying
be
that.
like me. It's not very realistic.
It's actually you wouldn't be able to be like me because you wouldn't work that hard. Would you work that hard?
No one would.
I don't have to answer that.
If you don't choose to
measure my I don't have to measure my work ethic to be worthy.
You don't have to. Then you can't be upset for others who do so. You can't be upset
for people who are struggling.
No, because they work hard.
Wait. Listen, guys. She just said, I don't have to measure. Let me just play it again.
Measure my, I'm not going to tell you. I don't have to answer that.
If you don't choose
have to measure my, I don't have to measure my work ethic to be worthy.
You don't have to. Then you can't.
She doesn't have to measure her work ethic in order to make as much as someone else who does prioritize work ethic in order to become successful. No. Like, if you want to be lazy, if you want to utilize your time to go party, drink, smoke, whatever, go do that. Look, I wish the best for you. Have fun, do that. But if I decide to do the unfun part until I can produce the results that I have in mind, then don't come at me with all of that.
Can't be upset for others who do so. You can't be upset
for people who are struggling.
No, because they work harder than you.
And that's what's wrong with capitalism, because
but go back to the homelessness.
You have to work so hard.
Do you live in the state of California?
I do.
Okay, you said homelessness.
Yes.
What do you think about your Governor Newsom? What do you think about him?
I don't like him. I'm a progressive. He doesn't do enough for the people.
Do you know when he
takes corporate money,
fantastic.
He takes money from people like
when
you.
He was,
he's not
I've never given him money. But do you know when he first became a governor,
surprise, but
I would never give him money. But when he became a governor first, from then till today, he's raised the amount of homelessness in this state by 36,000 people.
Okay, I don't like the guy, but he's not at fault for homelessness. People like you are, billionaires like you are the problem.
Taxpayers gave him 24 billion. Taxpayers.
I believe it. I don't like that guy.
So he's raised homelessness in California by over 30,000 people from the time he became governor. That is a bad governor.
$4 billion, and he didn't do nothing with it.
Vote him out.
You vote him out. You have him. It's not that.
And this is with the increase of taxes and increased contribution towards social programs from the tax revenue. California is just not making it. It's like, why are we utilizing these resources so ineffectively to where we're not even producing the results that a lot of people are asking for. Like, and this is exactly why a lot of people from California moved over to places like Texas, moved over to places like Florida, and then even to Las Vegas for those who could, you know, because I mean it's much closer. But yeah, this is exactly it. This is exactly a problem.
I'm saying I'm not here to defend Newsom.
You can
but
go.
You're not much different than him. That's all I'm saying. You're in the same.
Much different. This guy runs a company. Newsom he's a politician. But yeah, this is exactly the problem. Politicians are people who don't really have these type of experiences. They don't traditionally have experiences running a company, knowing like, you know, how to run things effectively and efficiently. But, you know, you're not going to compare Newsom to PBD. That's for sure.
But you're sitting here blaming a person who's changed their lives for the better, and it's their fault. My dad was.
This is not the United States of Patrick Bet-David.
Do you know
this
where?
This is the United States of America.
I know, and I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful to be here.
But are you willing to pay more taxes so that other people don't suffer? Are you willing to pay more taxes so other people don't suffer?
I am so grateful to be here.
I see you're skirting the question. You're not willing.
My dad was a cashier in Inglewood at a 99-cent store. We had nothing. No, I don't tell you that's great. We had nothing.
Well,
I'm the guy that had I'm the guy that had
the propaganda that you guys. So you can be like me.
Like this is the problem, bro. Like people want you to do good, just not better than them. and like this is just the truth. She's an example of that. Like this guy said, my dad was a cashier in Inglewood. In Inglewood, bro. Those aren't like the best of opportunities. Like, so why is it like you're able to just simply discredit what he's saying about where he came from, and you're the one saying like, you know, you're blaming him for where he's at in life right now, but he took all of the steps.
I want to hear is that because it's the truth.
We cannot all be like you.
When's the last time you read a business book? When's the last time you read a self-help book?
I don't need to answer that.
When's the last time you read a self-help?
I wrote a self-help book. I'm a writer. I'm a creative.
Tell me what self-help book you read.
I'm not.
Give me
I don't
one.
need to.
Give me one you read. Are you willing to take one recommendation?
No.
You're not.
Not for me.
Then I can't help you.
That's okay. Yep. I don't need your help. I didn't come here for your help.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh, these guys.
I'm glad y'all tripped over each other because I did too. How's it going? James.
What's your name? James.
So one of the things that you have stated is that we have options. Okay. So just to give you a little bit of my background, I come from a divorced family, and we lived below the poverty level from the time that I was born until now, frankly. So I'm one of those people that you're talking about that isn't pulling themselves up by their bootstraps enough, which like I didn't have boots to begin with. And like, I don't know if you've ever had boots, but like legs are load-bearing structures.
I relate.
And like you can't really pull up a boot when you're wearing it.
Bad joke, but
so
yeah. Go ahead.
Where exactly am I failing when I am working 80 hours a week? I am taking the only jobs that will hire me. I have put in 477 applications over the last 2.5 years. Not even gotten a call back once.
Why do you think?
You tell me. You're a job creator.
Wait. How many applications did he put in?
Will hire me. I have put in 477 applications over the last 2.5 years. Not even gotten a call back once.
Why do you think?
You tell me. You're a job creator.
But I don't know your resume. You know your life better than I do. Why do you think you have not gotten a call?
No, that's his fault. That's his problem. You put over 470 applications in and no one's called you back. Bro, you're not. Yeah, we're not. Even Walmart will take you. Like if you apply like 2 times, 3 times. But you put in 400 and no one's called you. Telling me McDonald's wouldn't hire you. You telling me like no one's yeah.
Call back on 477.
Because a lot of do not have a degree.
Okay.
Because I do not have a degree because I could not afford one.
Okay.
I live in an area where the physical job market is very limiting.
Where do you live?
I live in rural Texas.
Okay.
So in that, like in the town that I grew up in, for instance, there are 8 jobs. Period.
Does your family live?
Wait. The math ain't mathing right now. You all right. So you submitted over 477 applications, but in the town that you live in, there are only 8 jobs. The best thing to do would be to look outward and go somewhere else and see if you can find an opportunity out there.
Their mom, dad, everybody's in that same city?
Everybody was at one point.
Okay.
Most of them are dead now.
Okay, sorry to hear.
It is what it is. It's poverty. You know, we're kind of used to that on this side.
Why do you feel like you're a victim?
Like what? Who are you? Like, bro, like.
Why do you feel like you're a victim? Why do you feel like the way you speak, like,
right?
You know, you're the victim where all this happened to you?
Because I exist and things happen to you, and as such, things happen, and that's why I say that they happen to me.
You're a good-looking guy. Why do you think you're a victim? Why do you think you're somebody that's got into a situation because it's not fair what happened to me? Let me give you a couple options.
Sure.
Are you open to leaving the city you're in?
I've already left it.
So what city?
I've left multiple cities.
So if somebody else gave you a job in a different place, you'd be
100%.
willing to move there?
100%.
Okay. On your resume,
It says that.
What do you have on your resume? Skill set. What do you offer?
Transportation expertise, logistics expertise.
You consider yourself a hard worker?
I mean, I feel like 80 hours a week.
That's a hard worker.
80 hours a week?
How about we do this? How about I interview you and I give you a job?
Wait, hold on. Wait. I got to do this math. 80 divided by 70. If you are working 7 days a week, you're averaging about 11 and a half hours. Sunday to Saturday, you're looking at roughly 11 and a half hours of work every day. 11 and a half. And I'd say on an average, I'm probably running it up like 10 to 9 on average. But there's been times where I'll do like much more than that. But 11, you have to be a hard worker.
Would you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Ooh, man, that's Florida. Sure, why not?
Would you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Sure, why not?
How about you and I document this? After this, you come, I do an interview with you, and I give you a job. And let's see what you do 90 days later.
Okay, and I'll look up your company and all that kind of stuff, and I'll see it.
But you see what just happened?
Wait. I was just about to give him some props like, yo, you're getting a job. But then now you want to be selective. Like, this is the thing. Like, these people do not understand. Like, he just gave you a job and you just said no. You said, let me think about it. Like, you're not the person asking. Like, you haven't been the person that offered 477 job applications. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I can see why people are not hiring you. This is exactly it. If anyone was given this opportunity to work beside this millionaire who offered them a job and said, like, yo, I'm gonna set you up. Hey, come to the company. And then now I want to be like, well, let me think about it. Never mind. That's what I would be saying.
Regardless,
Mike. Watch what you just did.
Sure.
You just said you applied to 477 companies who's not gotten back to you.
Yeah.
A business owner who's hiring aggressively just made an offer to you. You said you're willing to move. Then you said, I'll look at it. You became selective.
I didn't say I'll look at it if you'd let me finish my sentence.
Go ahead. I want to hear it.
I would like to look into your company to see exactly what you guys do.
You would like to?
Because I don't know what you guys do.
That's the same thing. That's saying I'm going to look at it. But you're the one that's saying I can't find a job. Come on, bro, like these people are self-inflicted wounds. It's all self-inflicted. These people, they don't know what they're doing. They're given opportunities and they squander it. And then they wonder and then they victimize themselves and say like, yo, like I couldn't find anything.
Okay.
So as far as
I guarantee you someone from the hood would be like, or for someone from the lower class or whoever, like who've actually been through struggle would say like, I'll take it. Like what?
Maybe wasting my time going. If you guys are a finance company, if you guys are a bank or something like that, I don't have the certifications. I don't have the degrees. So even interviewing me would be a moot point.
What if I gave you a job, period, to work 80 hours a week? Would you take it? And I paid you a reasonable wage.
Are we talking a livable wage or a reasonable wage?
What do you
and
make
whose
right
version
now?
of reasonable are we talking about?
Right
Your
now?
version of reasonable or my version of
But
reasonable?
you see, so now for me,
like,
I'm noticing from
look how difficult it is to give him the job. Hey, here's his job. Why are you interviewing me? Like, granted, when you're doing an interview, you want to figure out the company if it's a good fit for you and whatnot. But he is not coming at it with the same urgency as someone who just said that they offered or they went into 477 different jobs and sent applications, and like you're not coming in with that same urgency. You're not, and this is exactly why you're going through these problems.
Is I need specifics?
No, not necessarily. No, most of the people I hired need specifics. The difference is I'm trying to hire them. In this instance, you're trying to get a job and you're being selective. It's going to work against you.
I mean, I'm not trying to get a job. Originally, I was trying to ask you where the moral fell.
My offer's off the table because
fine.
you're going to be difficult to work with.
Okay, sure.
Yep.
But my question was, where is my moral failing? Like, where is it that you are saying that I am not working hard enough and I am not doing enough?
I just experienced it right now because the way you just handled the situation.
Got it. So I should accept anything that somebody gives me at first blush if it is a guaranteed thing.
No, not necessarily.
I agreed to do your interview. I agreed to be interviewed by you, and you agreed to consider me for hiring. Yeah. So therefore, I am taking that opportunity. I've chosen to. But because I am asking you for specifics, your immediate reaction is that, oh, well, you're trying to be picky. I'm not. I'm asking
specifics. You could have simply
I said I need to look up your company. That's all I said.
You could have said is, I'm willing to have the interview.
And I did.
You would have had the interview.
And I did.
No, you said it depends.
I said,
I don't know.
Sure.
Let me look.
Yeah, sure. I would look into your company. That's all I said.
I appreciate you. Thank you, James.
So guys, I think that's all I want to do for today. So yeah, guys, I really appreciate you guys joining us today on this video. So this is the PBD Jubilee video, 1 capitalist versus 20 anti-capitalists. And so check them out on Jubilee and check them out on PBD podcast because, man, they've got some really good gems, some jewels, and I think some really good nuggets for you to like really extract and get a lot of value out of them. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe. Also, join the Patreon. I'm giving you guys real-time information on when I decide to move into certain investments and when I'm going to decide to sell and whatnot. So if you really want to have a good idea of what I'm going to be doing, make sure you follow me on the Patreon. Make sure you follow the Hot Pot on YouTube, Instagram, and any of our other social media platforms.